What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is the video of the year, the one I usually most looking forward to filming. Mostly because I get to talk about my skill set of what I like doing and the best movies of this year. These movies made me happy. These movies are great. Every single one of them, even if they're an honorable mention, they are great in their own way. But without further ado, let's forget about Barbie and let's get on with the list. Now, I must say there's a lot of movies I still have missed for this year, and if I feel like it's necessary, I will film another top 10 of the year if I feel like one of those fills into that category. I did that last year because I saw some movies that I thought absolutely deserved being there, and I didn't see them at the time. This year took a lot of organization, and I took a step above every other year I've done this. And let me just say there's a lot of great movies that came out this year. This list is really hard to make. And some of these honorable mentions I think could have, absolutely ended up in the top 10. They just needed that little extra. That and more great movies came out, and they eventually got pushed out of there with the other great movies that did come out this year. Our honorable mentions of the year are these: Five Nights at Freddys, a good beginner kid horror movie based on a video game that critics hated that I thought was good. Wonka, a movie that I usually would hate because it's a musical, I found a lot of enjoyment in. You should definitely go see it. The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, a movie I raved about, but it got pushed out of the top 10. But it's on Netflix. It's a Wes Anderson masterpiece, and I absolutely think that you should check it out. Tetris, a movie that came out pretty early in the year, but it kind of wasn't really mentioned, but I figured I'd check it out. It has a great lead performance, in my opinion, and a story I found intriguing. Evil Dead Rise, probably the best horror movie that came out this year. Again, early in the year, I really liked this movie. It fits right in with all the other Evil Dead movies, and it's probably some of the better of the bunch, in my opinion. Sound of Freedom, a movie that got a lot of attention this year, and it's well deserved. It's a movie that has a very important message that I think needs to be spread around given the movie and why it was made. Scream 6, I think it's slightly not as good as Evil Dead Rise, but it once again withstands the Scream franchise and is still a great movie. There's yet to be a really bad Scream movie. Beau is Afraid, another movie I loved this year, and probably all these honorable mentions, it was the closest to being on the list. But it wasn't. It was super close to being there, but it got pushed out. And our last honorable mention for the year is Dumb Money, a movie that I found very interesting, with a star-studded cast, and everyone got a little bit of a spotlight. Alright, the big list. A lot of thought and planning went into this, and I watched a lot of last-minute movies, and surprisingly, a lot of them went on this list. And number 10, probably one of the biggest surprises that you'll see on this list, of a movie that absolutely blew away my expectations from a director I thought was okay, that changed my expectations to being a great director. The Covenant. The Covenant is my 10th favorite movie this year. It's a very intriguing story with a performance by Jake Gyllenhaal that could follow his career and people could look back at it for years to come. It's a great performance and a great movie by a director that usually makes okay movies. Number 9, a movie that got a lot of attention and it's well deserved. A sequel that ends with promising another sequel. SpiderMan Across the Spider-Verse is number 9. This movie, once again, I liked Into the Spider-Verse a lot less than a lot of people, though. With that said, I still really liked it. Going into this movie, I was like, okay, I'm probably going to think the same as I did for the first one. No, this movie blew away my expectations, and now the second part is one of my most anticipated movies to come in the near future. Number 8, the most recent movie I watched on this list. I'm pretty sure it's Mysterio, and if I pronounce that wrong, I'm really, really sorry. Not that this movie is super intriguing in story, because it's based on a music leader, director, songwriter, whatever, but Bradley Cooper's directing job and performance in this movie absolutely carries us on his back. There's not a second in this movie where I do not think he is amazing chewing up the whole scenery on this film. The reason why this film is on this list is because of his performances. He is so entertaining to watch, and he's so mesmerizing in this movie that he's not only going to get a Best Director, Best Picture, and Best Actor nomination. I think out of all his nominations that he's had, this is his best chance to win. Number 7, another movie I made a review for this year that I absolutely thought was amazing, and is still the best of the franchise, and it's the 4th installment, and that is John Wick Chapter 4. This movie is incredible. It is 2.5 hours long of nothing but madness, and I absolutely love it. There's a story there too, and Keanu Reeves, he may not be a performance type of actor, but that is completely okay, because as John Wick, I could watch him for hours. I could watch the whole series of movies and still wish there was more. And especially this fourth one. I thought it was the best of the whole franchise, and I cannot wait to see what maybe some prequels or, whatever can have in store for this franchise. As a 5th installment, I don't think it will work, because the end of this movie, I personally, as a huge John Wick fan, thought it was perfect. Number 6, another huge surprise this year, a movie that I think got majorly pushed under the rug, but was still loved by critics and myself, Blackberry. This has 2 somewhat underrated actors giving a performance of a lifetime by each of them, and a very intriguing story that will hold your suspense from the second the movie starts till the second the movie ends. I could go watch this movie right now and not have a single problem with it. It is a wonderfully great movie that I absolutely think that needs to be on your list before the end of this year, that you need to watch. It's amazing, and I believe it's on Stars, so go watch it. Number 5, another recent movie that I finally got to see is The Holdovers. Again, it's not a complicated storyline. T gets left behind at Christmas. T tries to watch over him. With that simple, they explore areas that I never thought they would with a movie like this. This is a fun movie to watch, and as a lot of people have said, it's a cozy movie to watch, and I could not agree more. But the one thing that I have not mentioned yet about the movie is that Paul Giamatti is the lead in this movie. Giamatti. He's been in movies for years now. I thought he's always been a good actor. He's always been there. He's been in movies that haven't been great, even if they were short performances. Amazing Spider-Man 2. Sorry, I had to cough. But he absolutely is the standout in this entire film. If he doesn't at least get a nomination by the Academy, I think they will be high on crack, because he is magnificent. This year for Best Actor is incredible. It is stacked, and I cannot choose one over the other, but he's my second pick to win. My third being Bradley Cooper. You'll learn my number 1 later in this list. Number 4 is Air. A movie that once again kind of got pushed under the rug by a magnificent director and actor that is Ben Affleck. This is a Ben Affleck, Matt Damon movie, and it got pushed under the rug. And it did not deserve that. It is such an intriguing story, and I know I've said that a lot. And there's so many historical biopics this year that I thought were great. And that's That's cool that we have amazing historical biopics that can be interesting to anyone. Matt Damon, he's been in a couple movies this year, and another one's on this list. This is the first of them, but this one I think he's better in. He did get nominated for Best Actor in the Golden Globes. I don't know if he can reach Academy side, but I think he deserves it. But I don't think he can win. But with that said, it's still a great performance, and it's one of his best movies in years. Number 3 is my favorite comic book movie of this entire year, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. There's not been a movie this year that I've cried more at than this one. This movie is so emotional, and they do it so well, that it is just amazing. I don't have the words to express it. Just please go watch this movie if you're a fan of Marvel. You see that new poster I added? I like having Marvel posters, obviously. I think this movie beats out SpiderMan No Way Home. It adds every element of everything that I want from a Marvel movie. It's all in here. People were questioning some of, James Gunn's decisions recently. This one to me is not questionable at all, and actually to me it makes him an even better director compared to the other movies. This one is the best of the trilogy, and it absolutely needs to be on your list to watch as well. Number 2, another historical bioflick with an amazing performance. Killers of the Flower Moon is number 2 on my list. You would think that a 3.5 hour long historical bioflick that's for, somewhat talking, action and stuff, would probably be boring. This movie is by no means boring. This is Leonardo DiCaprio's. I now have to change my list of Best Actor because I did not consider this a performance. This is Leonardo DiCaprio's best performance he's ever had in a film. Let that sink in for a second. Before this, I would have said that would have been Wolf of Wall Street, which was a very underrated performance. I also think that this is Martin Scorsese's best movie that he's had in a long time. Do I like The Irishman more, which was his last film? Absolutely. I love The Irishman. I think it's a better movie. But from a directing standpoint, this movie is incredible. It is a sight to see. If there are some theater around you that might have a chance of having this film, do not miss it. On the big screen, this movie is incredible. And I'm so happy I got to see a Martin Scorsese movie on the big screen, which I unfortunately didn't for The Irishman. Please go watch this movie. It just proves what a director can do even after 50, 60 years of directing movies. Now, this may beg the question, what is my number 1 on this list? Now, I know this is not a good thing to do, but after I saw this movie this year, with the amount of hype that it had, I was a little nervous going into it. Given the director, who has also directed historical bioflicks before, they were alright, but they kind of got pushed under the rug a little bit, and they were almost mediocre. But number 1 on this list is Oppenheimer. Every movie I've seen, again, I said it was a bad thing to do, and it is, I compared to this movie. The second I walked out of the theater seeing this movie, I knew it was going to be number 1 on this list. Why is that? There is at least 3 people in this movie that I deserve Oscar wins. Not nominations, wins. Cillian Murphy absolutely blows every other performance I've mentioned on this list out of the water. I said Leonardo DiCaprio's performance was amazing, and it absolutely is. Paul Giamatti was amazing. He absolutely is. And same with Bradley Cooper. But Cillian Murphy blows them out of the water with this performance. There is not a second in this film that he's not J. Robert Oppenheimer. There's not a second in this film that Robert Downey Jr. is not Strauss. And there is not a second in this film that Emily Blunt is not Kitty Oppenheimer. This movie is magnificent. I don't use that word lightly. I don't use that word often. But that is the one way I can describe this movie as. Now, the one thing I lightly mentioned and I have not mentioned yet was Christopher Nolan. He directed this film. He recently, his more recent films, some of them were questionable, like Tenet, maybe Dunkirk. This was by far, and this is the guy who did direct the Dark Knight trilogy. This is by far, in my opinion, the best movies he's ever directed. Again, let that sink in. Christopher Nolan by far deserves Best Actor nomination, if not a win as well. And this is my pick to win Best Picture this year. This is my pick to get nominated for Best Picture this year. Please, please, please. Buy this movie in 4K. If you have the ability to watch it in 4K. The Blu-ray is going to look amazing as well, but the 4K is probably going to look magnificent. And I use that word again. There's a section in this movie, and now, no, the movie does not get blown over by just a section of the bomb in this movie, but it needs mentioning. The bomb section in this movie is one of the best scenes I've seen in a movie, and I can't remember how long. I'm thinking about last year's number one, which was Top Gun Maverick. There wasn't a scene in that movie that was near what this movie is. Oppenheimer absolutely blows Top Gun Maverick out of the air and into a jet and goes bye-bye. I can't express it, but Oppenheimer is number one this year for my top 10 movies of 2023. Thank you guys all for watching this video. This year's been great for me. I've expanded this channel farther than I ever thought I would. I tried things that, again, I never thought I would. And I've tried things that I'm going to use in years to come. But thank you all guys for being on the journey this year. Not just as a movie reviewer, not just as a gamer, but as a vlogger as well, and as the expansion of this channel. I will see you all next year. Enjoy your happy holidays. From my family to yours. Peace out. Like and subscribe.